Merry New Year's Eve. Or, if you're watching this extremely hungover right now on your sofa, don't worry mate, you're gonna make it. Chin up. Whichever one it is, this is a day or time for reflecting on the year, thinking about what you've done, what you should have done, what you said you was going to do, and trying to make excuses why you've not done it. And then reasons why you're definitely going to do it this year. Well, I've been going through my videos and looking at my builds in particular and trying to work out what builds I nailed and which ones I didn't nail. So this is a roundup of my builds, what I should have done, what I wish I did, what I was supposed to do, and I'm going to make up a load of excuses of why I didn't do it. But I don't think this video needs much more introduction. We've got a few bikes to cover. Let's reflect on a year of Second Life bikes. So the year consisted of a bike for my dad, a bike that I've always wanted to build, back-to-back dad bikes, a bike to ride 100 miles, a bike that I never even rode, we'll come back to that, a bike purely for fun, a bike to change my life, which it didn't, and then my dream bike, the one I love the most. But let's go right back to the beginning and start with the bike that I built for my dad. So it's a Sawtooth that I actually found on eBay, and it was one of those bikes that it didn't have a lot of information about it. I don't think it had the size of the frame, but you could tell from the images that it was a big frame. So I was definitely keen, and if I remember rightly, I think it cost me £10. Plus postage perhaps, but I'm sure it was £10 for the frame, which was madness. Very, very good deal. But originally the plan was to turn it into a bit of a commuter for myself, but when it arrived it was such a big bulky frame and light as anything. It's a very, very solid frame, but it just didn't... I've always wanted to build my dad a proper bike. If you've watched this channel for long enough now, you know that I built him a bike a while ago, which was for him. He's a massive dude, super tall, like skinny 700C wheels just weren't the right thing for him for where he was riding. So I built this thing, 26-inch wheels, nice big, I say big, 1.2s or 2.1s, 2.15, Billy Bonkers, wherever they are. So it kind of run really smooth, was really good on the gravel paths that he rides it on, and just was kind of like the right bike. So it very quickly turned into a build that I was building for him. I also then got sent a e-bike kit, so it ended up turning into an e-bike, which again, for my dad, it seemed like the right thing to do. He loves it, he rides it everywhere now, and it was a solid build. As far as things I do differently on it, I don't think there's a lot. I think if I kept it for myself, I would have turned it into a kind of a rocket commuter, kind of like my Moon Run, which is the last bike we're going to talk about. I think that's what it would have become, but my dad loves it. I'm super happy that he has it now, and yeah, it was a sick build. We started the year pretty well. Move on to the Rog Hopper, and this is kind of its third build, probably second build, and it's kind of its current form. The only difference between it now and this is the fact that I did put some chunkier tyres on it at some point. I think they were Panaracer Fire Pros, Cross Country Fire Pro, I can't remember exact names they are, but they're very good. And then this was kind of its fixing the problems build. When I first built it, one of the biggest problems with it was the fact that it was far too low. The stem that I changed on it, I can't exactly the measurements and things, but it was a lot lower than the frame's designed for, and the geometry just changed massively. It was very cool, very aggressive, looked great, but it didn't ride very well, didn't feel good at all. So what I did was put a slightly shorter stem on it, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but run with me here, and then put really high handlebars on there. So it brought the stem in a little bit, which gave me a little bit more control, a bit more manoeuvrability, but it brung me up a little bit, which was nice for my back. That then became its kind of last form, really. I took it mountain biking a few times, took it Swinley Forest. It was sick out there, and yeah, it's all round tippity top. I think if I'm being really truthful with myself, I don't like rock hoppers too much. They look amazing, they're really nice to build, people love them, so they're great for content, but they're not really for me, and I feel like I'm opening a big can of worms in the comments right now. I know a lot of you do like them. It's one of my most popular videos. Anything that has Specialized in it does very well, yeah, I'm not that into it. Maybe I'll make a video in more detail about what's wrong with rock hoppers and hard rocks. We'll talk about that again in a bit. Yeah, not for me. Onto the Nitro and my first attempt at making a dad bike this year. Around about the time I built this, which is back in February this year, I moved house and I moved my son from this close to his school to this close to his school, which is fine in realistic terms. It's a couple of miles, it's no big deal. But it just meant instead of just walking around the corner, we had to then walk quite a bit. So I needed to build something that was going to make it easy for me to just pop him on it and then off we go. I didn't really know exactly what it needed to be at that time. I literally just went through the shed, found a bike, and was like, it's something I can just kind of like dash, lock up, do what I want on it, and then if something happens, it doesn't really matter too much. It was awful to ride. And it was kind of like a parts bin build to a point. It was single speed. And it's just like with him on the front of it, it just wasn't comfortable, and that was fine to start with. But as soon as I started riding back from school, and especially as the summer was hitting, we were doing more things, we were having more fun doing it, and we wanted to be out for longer, and I didn't want to be on that bike much longer. So I needed to build something else. So that kind of swiftly moved us on to the second dad bike I built. It was actually the first bike that I painted this year, which makes it a little bit special to me still, even though it sucked and I didn't enjoy riding that much. I kind of ended up painting the rear end, or the rear triangle, pink, and then spraying like this marble effect spray on it. It was very cool. Some of you thought it was amazing. A lot of you hated it. So, but yeah, on to the next one. Now the Kona Do was way better. It rode really nicely, it had nice wide bars on it, Eli could sit on the seat and he was comfortable, he had something to hold on to, and we took this quite a long way. It had hydraulic brakes, so it stopped well. Everything on it it worked. I did, however, hate the tyres. The tyres I thought would be really good because they had a bit of grip on them, but they were also high rolling, so if I wanted to tear this into central London or on more roady stuff or longer distances, it would be good. But the place where I'm predominantly riding this bike was across Wanstead Flats, which is a lot of kind of like gravel or mud paths. The amount of times we nearly stacked it, it was a little bit sketch. So I did change the tyres eventually to something else. I can't remember what they were. I think they were still WTBs. They had some tread, and then it was fine. The only reason I stopped using this bike, I ended up dismantling it as well so I could use some of the parts, but the only reason I stopped using this bike was my wife finished her maternity leave and went back to work, which meant I didn't just have Eli on our rides to school, I also had my daughter Bonnie. She at that time was far too young to be going on bikes, so I had to pram it all the way to school with him on the back of a pram. That sucked. We missed our bikes. But eventually she was old enough to go on or in our cargo bike, which I'm going to do some videos on that starting next week. I know some of you know about my cargo bike that I bought recently, but the first video is coming next week. So if you do enjoy bike content and you want to know more about more modern bikes and cargo bikes, there was a learning curve. Subscribe to the channel. Lots of new videos coming in the new year. But yeah, generally I didn't regret anything on this build. I really enjoyed the doodle that I did on the frame itself. I did all the geometric shapes. I actually released a sticker at the same time as that. These ones here. So they kind of like match the shapes that I drew on the bike. So you could have a little piece of this on your thing, and they're transparent so you could see the colour. It's like me coming along to your house and doodling on your bike, if you're into that kind of thing. I still have loads of these left actually. They're on spray.bike.com, plus a bunch of new stickers. I've also just ordered loads of new designs. So in the next few weeks, we will have more stickers. Should we talk about the next bike? That was weird. This one's easy. This one was pretty much perfect. I needed to build a bike to ride 100 miles for the Ride London event. It was all for charity. I raised, I think it was around about £700 in the end. Way more than I ever expected. Lots of last minute donations for people, some really crazy big ones as well. So just past the starting line, I promise you, I'm not making this up, but some dude was just kind of rolling through the start line and his saddle came off. I hope my saddle doesn't come off. Absolutely amazing, very, very grateful. And I wanted to build something specifically for this ride. And not only that, I needed it to be 26 inch because I like to punish myself, I guess. I was really intrigued, and a lot of you guys were intrigued, whether I could do it on a 26 inch bike. I knew I could do it on a bike. I don't look like I'm the sort of guy who can run 100 miles easily. It wasn't easy. It was not easy, but I could do it. It was fine. But I really wanted to know if it was possible to do it on a nice retro, beautiful looking 26 inch bike. And I did, and it was perfect. Nothing on the bike was I would change. I'm potentially going to build it up again exactly like that because I'm going to enter again this year. And yeah, it was solid. It's a solid bike. I absolutely adore it. The ride was amazing. Go and check out the videos for that one. There's a build video. There's a video about the actual ride event itself. And yeah, it was phenomenal. And the bike was perfect. That is it. Easy. Done. For a very long time, I've always wanted a semi-modern Onone mountain bike. What I mean by semi-modern is the fact that it's still 26 inch geometry frames, but they're just like, you know, early 2000s instead of like 80s and 90s. It had disc brake mounts, all that sort of stuff, you know. But when I then built said bike, which you've just seen, I didn't like it. Which is weird, like all my builds usually. But it was a Onone 456. It's quite an aggressive steel mountain bike hardtail. Loads of room for clearance for tires. It had disc brake mounts. I put a suspension fork on it. It was like, it was sick. Looks so good on camera. It was just amazing. The only thing that I would have changed on it was the stem was a little bit too short. Slightly longer stem would have made it a bit more comfortable for longer distance. I've never ridden it. Generally, when I build a bike, I have a purpose for it. I'm going on a trip. I need a new commuter. I currently don't have a bike. I need to build it so I can do this. You know, like there's a thing. When I built that, I had all the bikes I wanted and needed at the time. I just wanted to build this for myself. It was like a birthday present, essentially. And I didn't have any reason to ride it. And then every time I did have a reason to ride it, because of where it sits in the category of high-end bike, retro bike, I just took either a retro bike or my high-end bike. So I didn't ride it, and I still don't ride it. So I'm going to dismantle it and build something better that I will ride, hopefully. That was probably my biggest fail of the year. Sick bike. Very, very nice. Wicked components. Go watch the video. It's great. I just didn't like it. Here's an easy one, the Dynamax. This was I wanted to build a bike. Let's see what parts I have and frames I have and build a bike. It came out way better than I imagined. It was literally just like, oh, let's just build a bike, see what we can do. Built it, it was sick. Rode it for a good few weeks. Then built something else, so I kind of didn't ride it that much after that. But I still have it. I really like it. I do want to build it again. This is kind of like, again, very parts binny. So there's definitely some components on it would have been better, but like, it's nothing wrong with it. Like, the brakes work really nicely. I quite liked the narrow bars with the what do you even call those? Like the horns. I just realised I don't know what they're called. It might come to me, but essentially those things, everything looked very cool. It was very kind of retro looking, which is not very regular for my build. So it's kind of more of a, let's play with some bikes, and I really liked it. You guys really liked it too. I'll probably build it again, but more my style. Or like it is. Tell me in the comments, what should I do with it next? Because I need to do something with it. So let's do something with it. Now the hard rock. The hard rock was supposed to be my winter build. I was supposed to be riding it daily. I was supposed to be riding it currently. It was very, very popular. One of my most popular videos to date. I loved it. It looked amazing. It rode really well. But it was too small for me. If I was riding it for like fun, maybe even mountain biking where, you know, you want a little bit of a smaller bike, but when I'm riding long distance on it, I just felt a little bit just small on it and a bit tight. I am going to have one more go at building it before I kind of go cut it completely, but mainly different bars. I don't have many flat bars when it comes to commuting and stuff. This had the kind of like the high-rise bars, which were very comfortable, but it feels great, but it just didn't, there's something about it. And going back to the hard rock, the rock hopper, maybe they're just not for me. I don't know why. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I think I might let go of this one as well. But I'm gonna have it one more go. I'm gonna build both them up, both my Specialized, one more time. If I don't like them, they're going up for sale. And then I do also have a pink hard rock and a red rock hopper. The red rock hopper is my size. The pink hard rock, not my size. But I have a special build for that one. So last but not least, the last build I did this year, which is the Moon Run, or the Rally Moon Run. This is by far my favourite bike I've ever built. It's the first time in a long time I've built something that fits me. It's potentially a little bit on the large side for most people, but like I do like that slightly larger bike, just like the way it feels. I'm blown away by this bike. It's one of those bikes, I finished it and it just keeps on giving. It is beautiful, rides really well, and is just a tough bike. I built this originally for the Krusty Cruise, the first group ride that I did. That's why I wanted to build it, but it's replaced every other bike that I've built this year and is my kind of go-to now. There's a couple of things I want to change on it just because I've fully decided it is a permanent bike in my fleet. I'm toying with the idea of putting disc brakes on it, which would mean I'd have to get some tabs welded on the back. But for now, I'm definitely going to put some V-brakes on it. And some slightly different tyres on it, because I'm only using this bike when I'm commuting and riding in London on road, and the Gravel Kings are very nice, but they're just slightly sticky, so like the rolling resistance isn't quite there. Great on gravel, great on kind of like, you know, harder tracks, and I don't know what the words I'm looking for here, but not on smooth roads. It's just too much grip. But that's it. That's the only things I'll change on it. It is perfect. I'm trying to decide if I want to share what's next. I suppose I do. I have a bit of a competition going with some other YouTubers and Instagrammers. I'm going to make a little bit more of a kind of announcement for this in a video in a couple of weeks. But essentially we are doing a cheap build challenge. I have picked up a Diamondback, which is the first Diamondback I've ever done on this channel. I had Diamondbacks when I was a kid. I absolutely love them. I've always wanted a Diamondback for the channel, especially a retro one with, like, you know, marbly paint jobs and all that sort of stuff. You'll see what it is. I've got that frame, and I'm going to make a very cheap, affordable build, as nice as I possibly can, but cheap and affordable. Something you can achieve without having all the amazing parts that I've got. Sounds like I'm bigging myself up. You know what I'm getting at. Parts bin, cheap parts. That's the aim. That's the mission. I also have, I definitely have a bike that I will be putting disc tabs on. I'm going to build a fancy 26er mountain bike to replace the 456. I want to put hydraulics on it. I want to put chunky tyres on it. There's a few adjustments I'm going to have to get done on the frame. It's going to be a bit of a baller build. So very different contrast from what the build I've just told you about. I also have a 700C build, 2 of them in fact, that are going to go down this year. Plus the rock hoppers, the hard rocks, tons. So happy new year. I've got a big year coming up ahead of me. I'm so grateful for everybody who has subscribed to this channel over the last couple of years. This year in particular, we went from having a couple of thousand to, I think I'm this close to 12,000 when I'm recording this, which is a mad number. My lifetime goal of this channel, I was like, how cool would it be if it was 10,000 subscribers? We've passed that, and next year I imagine we may even double it. Who knows? That's just madness. My Instagram is this close to hitting 30,000. 30,000. Insane numbers. I'm, like I say, super grateful, thankful, and I've got more to give. So stay around, subscribe. If you are new to the channel, I guess hit that button there. That's to subscribe to the channel. And if you can't wait to the next video, which is going to be about cargo bikes, check out that one. It is a particularly good one. Happy New Year.